Hello, my dear friends. Imagine a world bathed in the golden glow of the sun, where fragrant blooms awaken your senses as they sway gently in the breeze. You stand in a 14th century Persian garden, an oasis of vibrant colors and tantalizing scents. Lush greenery surrounds you, with meticulously arranged pathways inviting you to explore hidden corners teeming with life. You can almost hear the soft murmur of water flowing through intricately designed channels, a symphony of nature playing just for you. But here's a cheeky reality check. You probably won't survive this vivid world without some form of help or at least a solid understanding of what lies beneath the surface of this serene beauty. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now, imagine yourself wandering deeper into this garden, where the air is rich with the scent of blooming roses and fresh herbs, where courtyards filled with fruit trees offer shade from the relentless sun. You can feel the soft earth beneath your feet, and the distant laughter and chatter of the gardeners fills your ears. The 14th century in Persia was a time of remarkable cultural achievement, and gardening was not merely a pastime, it was an art form that symbolized wealth, power, and spiritual connection. These gardens, with their geometric designs and carefully selected flora, were more than just places of beauty. They were an embodiment of an idealized paradise, a reflection of human effort intertwining with nature. As you stroll along the sun-drenched paths, you can't help but marvel at the intricate interplay of plants, water, and architecture. But look a little closer, dear friend. Beneath the surface of this idyllic paradise lies a reality that few would dare speak of in the presence of the wealthy and the influential. While the garden flourished above ground, the true laborers, those you see tending to the plants, their hands callous, and faces weathered by the sun-fist to grueling existence. Behind the lush greenery and vibrant blossoms, there existed a harsh truth: food scarcity loomed over the common folk, while the elite indulged in the fruits of their labor. Gardening life in 14th century Persia was often dictated by the seasons, and the demands were relentless. The gardeners you see, tirelessly tending to their plots, were not just custodians of beauty, they were the backbone of a society that relied heavily on agricultural production. As you observe them, you might notice the subtle wariness in their movements, the way their backs bend with the weight of their work, and how their laughter sometimes rings hollow against the backdrop of their arduous daily existence. The gardens were a microcosm of Persian society, where the stark contrast between the privileged and the laborers was laid bare. The affluent would stroll through these gardens in flowing silks, their laughter echoing around them, while those laborers toiled in the shadows, their sweat watering the very soil that bore the fruits of luxury. And so, the gardens became not only spaces of beauty, but also stages for a complex performance of class dynamics, a place where the disparity was as palpable as the fragrant blooms. Now, as you find a peaceful spot beneath the shade of a grand pomegranate tree, take a moment to breathe in the rich, earthy aroma of the garden. Picture the laborers, hands deep in the soil, nurturing life while facing their struggles. You can't help but feel a kinship with these gardeners, who pour their sweat and dreams into the earth, crafting beauty that will never be fully theirs to enjoy. So let's gently wander deeper into the world of 14th century Persian gardening, where we'll explore the artistry behind the plants and the hidden truths that challenge the glamorous image of this verdant paradise. In the next section, we will uncover the meticulous planning and symbolic meanings wrapped in the flora and architecture of these gardens, painting a more complete picture of this mesmerizing landscape. As you settle into the tranquil ambience of the Persian garden, your senses awaken to the exquisite artistry of its design. Every step you take along the winding paths reveals a carefully crafted landscape, a living tapestry that weaves together the natural and the human-made. Here, the layout is not merely haphazard, it's a symphony of geometry and symbolism, a reflection of the cosmos and the divine. Persian gardens, known as paradise in their essence, were designed to encapsulate the idea of an earthly Eden, a sanctuary of comfort and beauty amidst a tumultuous world. The designers of these gardens were not just gardeners, they were visionaries who understood the interplay of elements. Imagine standing at the entryway of one of these gardens, framed by high walls that shield you from the outside chaos. You step through arched doorways, each entry designed to draw you into a different realm, a transition from the mundane to the extraordinary. The pathways, often laid out in a quadrilateral format, symbolize the four rivers of paradise, a representation of life, sustenance, and abundance. But let's not get lost in the beauty alone. The glamorous illusion of this idyllic setting can distract from the stark realities that often lay just beyond the walls. While the flora is lush and vibrant, the labor of maintaining such beauty is immense. The very gardens that inspired poetry and admiration were also locations where the struggle for survival played out in the shadows. In a society where drought was a constant threat, the gardeners faced the unrelenting pressure to cultivate not only aesthetics but also sustenance. Now, picture the intricacies of the design. Water features, such as fountains and streams, were not just ornamental, they were lifelines. They required meticulous engineering, a network of canals that sometimes failed or became choked with silt. The very act of creating and maintaining these waterworks was a Sisyphean task. The gardeners, your silent guides, were often the ones to bear the brunt of nature's whims. When a drought struck, it was their toil that kept the garden alive, a burden they shouldered with little recognition. As you stroll deeper into the garden, the colours of the flowers bloom in vibrant hues, yellows and whites, all chosen not just for their beauty, but for their symbolic meanings. The rose, for instance, was a representation of divine beauty, while the cypress tree stood tall as a symbol of eternity and life. Each plant was a verse in a poetic landscape, telling tales of love, loss, and longing. Yet behind this symbolism lies the hidden truth. Many of these plants were not as easily cultivated as one might think. The shocking reality is that the delicate flowers of paradise often required far more than just fertile soil and sunlight. The knowledge of which plants thrived in different conditions, how to propagate them, and the necessity of constant care was a skill passed down through generations of labourers who often went uncelebrated. You think of the lavish banquets held by the wealthy, where fruits and flowers from these gardens were displayed as symbols of status, while the hands that nurtured them remained calloused and unseen. Moreover, the relationships between the gardeners and the plants were complex. They carried a deep understanding of the local ecology, knowledge that wasn't always valued in the grand narrative of Persian culture. You might even recall the phrase, "The gardener and the garden are one," a sentiment that reflects the intimate bond between the labourer and the land. While the gardens were aesthetically pleasing, they also represented a labourer's intimate connection with nature, a connection often overlooked by those basking in the garden's beauty. As you pause to gaze at a cluster of violets, their rich purple hue inviting you closer, let's consider those deeper meanings hidden within the flora. The violets, believed to symbolise humility, stood in stark contrast to the lavishness of the surrounding blooms. They remind you that not all beauty is meant to be revered. Sometimes it thrives in the quiet corners, hidden from sight and often from appreciation. Now that you've caught a glimpse of the artistry and skill involved in crafting these gardens, let's further explore the daily lives of the gardeners who transformed bare earth into a lush paradise. In the next section, we'll immerse ourselves in the rhythms of their day, where beauty and labour intertwine under the watchful gaze of a blazing sun. As the sun rises over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the Persian landscape, the day begins for the dedicated gardeners who bring life to these magnificent spaces. You can almost hear the soft sound of birds chirping as they wake up alongside the workers, their melodies mingling with the rustling of leaves in the gentle morning breeze. This is a world where beauty is cultivated through hard work and dedication. Yet, just as you settle into this serene imagery, a shocking reality begins to take shape. While the gardens may evoke visions of tranquility and abundance, the truth is that many of these labourers face daily struggles that would surprise those who only see the glamorous surface. The reality of food scarcity loomed large, and the gardens often provided not only aesthetic pleasure, but also essential sustenance. You might imagine a pantry filled with fruits and vegetables, but for many families, the bounty of the garden was not just a privilege, it was a lifeline, a means of survival in a world where starvation was a constant threat. Picture the daily routine of a gardener. As dawn breaks, you rise early, the cool morning air still crisp against your skin. You gather your modest tools, perhaps a wooden hoe, and a simple trowel, before stepping outside into the world of vibrant greens and colourful blooms. The first task of the day involves inspecting the plants, checking for pests and diseases, and ensuring that the irrigation channels are functioning properly. It's a labour-intensive start, one that mixes the mundane with moments of quiet awe as you witness the very life you've nurtured. But here's the twist. As you toil among the flowers, your thoughts may wander. The beauty of your surroundings is juxtaposed with the knowledge that the labour is often undervalued, an invisible burden carried by a class that is both vital and overlooked. The gardeners you see are skilled artisans, yet their work is frequently romanticised by poets and artists who never soil their hands in the earth. The irony sits heavy in the air, as you realise that the very gardens that inspire admiration are also the source of the labourers' sweat and struggles. As you dig your hands into the soil, the earth feels cool and moist, a contrast to the radiant sun overhead. You might feel the occasional thorns prick your skin or the sharp edge of a weed you didn't notice, reminders that beauty often comes with its own set of challenges. The gardeners, bound to the rhythms of nature, must adapt to the changing seasons and unpredictable weather patterns. Droughts were common, and during those dry spells, the gardens might wilt under the relentless sun, mirroring the hopes and ambitions of those who worked tirelessly to sustain them. Throughout the day, the sound of laughter may erupt among the gardeners, a moment of levity amid the hard work. You can hear their stories echoing through the garden, tales of resilience and community that bind them together. They share knowledge about which plants flourish and how to propagate them, creating a rich tapestry of interdependence that often goes unnoticed by outsiders. They are not merely labourers, they are custodians of wisdom passed down through generations, a living library of botanical knowledge. And yet, while these gardens sparkle with life, a darker reality looms just outside their walls. The gardeners are often at the mercy of their employers, the affluent who benefit from their labour without truly understanding the effort behind it. You can picture the lavish feasts where fruits and flowers are paraded as symbols of wealth, while the hands that tended to those very plants remain unacknowledged. The disparity is stark, and as the day winds down, the gardeners return home, weary, but with a quiet pride in their work. The gardens may adorn the palaces of the rich, but they are also a source of sustenance for the families they feed. As the sun begins to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, you feel a sense of calm wash over you. In this moment, amidst the beauty and the harsh truths, there lies a connection, a bond to the earth, the plants and the people who tended them. You recall the intricate balance of labour and artistry that defines the Persian garden experience, where each bloom tells a story and each gardener carries the weight of their history in their hands. In our next section, we'll explore the tools and techniques that these gardeners utilised, some of which may surprise you, revealing a juxtaposition between their humble means and the breathtaking outcomes they achieved. The contrast serves as a reminder of the creativity and resourcefulness that can thrive even amid struggle. As the stars twinkle in the deepening night sky, you find yourself reflecting on the labourers who have just spent another day in the embrace of the garden. The tools of their trade, though simple, are imbued with significance, each one a testament to centuries of knowledge passed down from gardener to gardener. With the first light of dawn, these tools become extensions of their very beings, bridging the gap between human intention and the earth's fertile embrace. Imagine holding a wooden hoe in your hands, its handle worn smooth from years of use. This humble tool, though it appears basic, is a powerful instrument of creation. It allows the gardener to break the ground, aerate the soil, and prepare it for planting. It may seem trivial compared to the grandeur of the garden itself, but without it, the vision of beauty would remain just that, a vision, unattainable and unfulfilled. Yet, the shocking reality is that many of these tools were not easily accessible. A well-crafted hoe was a luxury for some, while others had to make do with makeshift implements fashioned from whatever materials they could gather. As you watch the gardeners at work, you may notice their ingenuity and action. They often fashion tools from local materials, turning branches into stakes and stones into weights for line drawing. This resourcefulness is a reflection of their resilience in the face of adversity. The gardens, thriving in their vibrancy, depend not only on the hands that tend them but also on the creative solutions that arise from necessity. However, this brings to light a hidden truth. While these gardens are lush, the labourers themselves often lack the very tools that would make their work easier and more efficient. Picture a gardener bent over a patch of earth, using a sharpened stick to create lines for planting seeds. The simplicity of the act belies the complexity of thought that accompanies it. Each seed sown is a hope for the future, a promise of sustenance, but the gardener's hands ache with the weight of their efforts. The irony is palpable. While the fruits of their labour may adorn the tables of the wealthy, the gardeners themselves often go without the security of a full meal. You can hear the rhythmic sound of tools striking the ground, a melody of labour that resonates through the air. While the rich may enjoy the fruits of the garden's labour at their lavish feasts, the gardeners are left to scavenge the very edges of the beauty they create. As you delve deeper into the daily intricacies of their work, you come to appreciate the deep knowledge that informs each action. The gardeners know when to plant, when to water, and how to nurture the delicate balance of life within their plots. What's more, the techniques employed in these gardens speak volumes about the interconnectedness of nature and human effort. Consider the methods of irrigation that have been perfected over generations, a complex network of channels and ditches designed to funnel water precisely where it is needed. These systems, crafted with care, reveal the intelligence that lies at the heart of Persian gardening. Yet, the shocking reality is that these same systems could easily fail, leading to drought and devastation. The gardeners must constantly monitor and maintain these channels, a task that requires vigilance and commitment. Imagine now the intoxicating scents that waft through the air as the gardeners work. The fragrance of freshly turned earth mingles with that of blooming jasmine and mint, creating a sensory experience that is both grounding and uplifting. But amidst this olfactory paradise lies another truth, the lack of sanitation and hygiene practices in the era. While gardens were often places of beauty, they were also sites where waste could accumulate and the very water that nourished the plants could become tainted. Yet, the gardeners, through their relationship with the land, learned to adapt. They understood the cycles of nature, when to plant, when to harvest, and when to let the earth rest. This connection to the soil, to the very essence of life, is both empowering and humbling. The complexity of their work transcends mere gardening. It is an intricate dance with nature that requires both skill and intuition. As the shadows lengthen, you take a moment to reflect on the lives of these gardeners, who wield their tools with both grace and determination. Their hands, calloused and weathered, tell the story of countless hours spent in the sun, nurturing life from the earth. In our next section, we will delve into the lifeblood of this garden water. We'll explore the complex irrigation systems that sustain these vibrant plots, revealing the struggles and triumphs that accompany the quest for this precious resource. As you step further into the heart of the Persian garden, the gentle sound of water trickling fills the air, a soothing soundtrack to the day's labor. Water, the lifeblood of the garden, is a precious resource that transforms barren earth into a vibrant tapestry of life. In a world where drought is an ever-looming threat, the complexities of irrigation systems take center stage, revealing both the ingenuity and the struggles of the gardeners who depend upon this essential element. Imagine standing beside a meticulously engineered irrigation channel, crafted from mud and stone, snaking its way through the garden. These channels, known as canets, were a marvel of engineering, designed to transport water from distant sources, sometimes miles away downward through underground tunnels. The gentle slope allowed gravity to do much of the work, but constructing these life-giving arteries required immense effort and expertise. However, the glamorous illusion of these gardens often overshadows the laborious reality of maintaining such intricate systems. While the water flowing through the garden appears crystal clear and refreshing, the truth is that the laborers faced numerous challenges in ensuring its availability. Droughts could devastate entire communities, and the garden, since lush and vibrant, could quickly turn into parched wastelands. The gardeners you observe, with their skilled hands and weathered faces, carry the weight of these worries. When the rains fail to come, they turn to their knowledge of the land, devising strategies to conserve water and maximize its use. Yet, no amount of ingenuity can alter the whims of nature. The beauty of the gardens is often tinged with a bittersweet reality. While wealthy households revel in the fruits of these laborers' efforts, they remain oblivious to the struggle for water that lies just beneath the surface. You can picture the affluent patrons, sipping sweet pomegranate juice and basking in the unrivaled beauty of their gardens, unaware of the backbreaking labor that goes into maintaining them. The iniquity is stark, as those who toil under the sun remain unseen, their sweat nourishing the very plants that bring pleasure to others. As you delve deeper into the intricacies of irrigation, you may find the sounds of splashing water and the sight of glistening droplets captivating. The gardeners often worked tirelessly to create intricate patterns within their plots, ensuring that every plant received the water it needed to thrive. This care is a testament to their dedication, but it also highlights the invisible burden they carry. The same water that nourishes the flowers can also harbor dangers, a reminder that the interplay between beauty and survival is often fraught with challenges. Moreover, the gardeners face logistical hurdles as they navigated the waterways. You might envision a team of laborers gathering at dawn, working together to clear debris from the channels or repairing leaks that threaten to drain precious resources. Their camaraderie shines through the labor, as they share knowledge and techniques honed over generations. It's a dance of connection, yet the underlying tension remains what happens when the water runs dry. As you wander through the garden, your attention is drawn to the lush greenery surrounding the water's edge. The juxtaposition of vibrant life against the harsh realities of drought and scarcity is striking. You can smell the sweet scent of fruit trees mingling with the earthy aroma of wet soil. The air is alive with the chatter of birds and the rustle of leaves, but within this paradise, there exists tension. The hidden truth is that the gardens, while bountiful, also reflect the precarious balance between nature's generosity and its unpredictability. Despite the challenges, the love for the garden shines through. The gardener's connection to water transforms into a reverence for the life it nurtures. They become custodians not just of plants, but of an entire ecosystem, a vital responsibility that deepens their bond to the land. The whispers of the water in the canal remind them of the ancient rhythms of nature, of the cycles of life that ebb and flow with the seasons. As sunset approaches, you can feel the day winding down, the colors of the sky shifting from brilliant blues to soft pastels, mirroring the tranquility of the garden. In this moment, you find solace in the knowledge that the struggles faced by the gardeners are woven into the very fabric of the beauty surrounding you. The lessons of patience and resilience echo through the rustling leaves and shimmering water, a poignant reminder of the interconnectedness of all life. In our next section, we will wander into the sensory symphony of the garden, fragrances and sights that envelop you in a soothing embrace. We will juxtapose the enchanting scents of the flora with the often overlooked realities of hygiene and sanitation in this seemingly idyllic paradise. As the last rays of the sun dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden, you are enveloped in a sensory experience that is both intoxicating and grounding. The air is thick with the fragrances of blooming flowers, herbs and ripening fruits, creating an aromatic tapestry that captivates your senses. Each inhalation takes you deeper into the world of the 14th century Persian garden, where every scent tells a story. However, as you revel in this sensory delight, a shocking reality lurks in the background, reminding you that beauty often comes hand in hand with hidden truths. Imagine yourself among the vibrant blooms of roses, jasmine and lavender, their sweet fragrances wafting through the air like a gentle caress. The perfume of the garden is a carefully curated blend, designed to enchant and soothe the soul. Each flower has its own distinct scent, meant to evoke emotions, commemorate special occasions and create an atmosphere of tranquility. It is in this aromatic paradise that you can easily lose yourself, enveloped by the sensory overload of color and scent. Yet, just beyond this fragrant fade lies a less glamorous reality. The gardens, while beautiful, often lacked adequate hygiene and sanitation practices. The very beauty of the flora could obscure the grim truths about waste management and hygiene. You may notice the remnants of discarded fruit, fallen leaves, and the occasional accumulation of debris, remnants of the very life that the garden nurtures. When the allure of the garden dims, it reveals a world where filth can fester alongside beauty, and the fragrant blooms can sometimes mask the odorous realities of life. As you wander further, you might recall that many of the gardeners lived nearby or even worked in close quarters with their families. The lack of proper sanitation facilities could lead to unsanitary conditions that contrasted sharply with the floral splendor. The same workers who cultivated the gardens were also responsible for managing waste, and their efforts to keep the space tidy often went unnoticed. You can picture them grappling with the logistics of maintaining cleanliness in a place where beauty and grime coexisted, relying on their knowledge of nature to mitigate the inevitable mess that comes with life. The juxtaposition of fragrant blooms and the harsh realities of hygiene poses an interesting question about the perceptions of beauty in society. The wealthy patrons may have reveled in the aesthetic pleasures of the gardens, but the laborers faced a daily struggle to balance beauty with practicality. With every bouquet plucked for a feast, the gardeners would have to contend with the aftermath, a reminder that beauty comes with a price. The irony lies in the fact that while gardens were celebrated as symbols of paradise, the reality of maintaining such paradises often fell to those who were least appreciated. As you pause beside a patch of fresh herbs, mint, basil, and coriander, their scents are sharp and invigorating, bringing a sense of clarity amidst the chaos of the garden. You breathe in deeply, feeling the freshness awaken your senses, yet you can't help but think of the unattended corners of the garden where waste collects, a stark contrast to the vibrant life surrounding it. It's a reminder that within the beauty of the garden lies the struggle to sustain it, a balance between the fragrant and the foul. The smells that surround you, delightful as they may be, do not mask the reality of life's complexities. In a time when sanitation practices were rudimentary at best, the gardens faced challenges that modern society often overlooks. The very irrigation systems that sustain the flora could also become conduits for waste, blurring the lines between nourishment and contamination. But the gardeners, wise in their understanding of nature, learned to work within these parameters. They utilized their knowledge of plants to create natural remedies that could combat pests and diseases without the luxury of modern conveniences. The fragrant herbs that you enjoy today were often used for much more than their pleasing scents. They served practical purposes, from cooking to medicinal applications. As the moon rises high in the starry sky, you feel a deep appreciation for the intricate layers of life within the garden. The fragrances that envelop you are a celebration of life, yet they remind you of the hard truths that lie just beneath the surface. The balance of beauty and survival is delicate, yet it is also a testament to the resilience of those who labor among the blooms. In our next section, we will explore the often overlooked contributions of women in the world of 14th century Persian gardening. We'll uncover the roles they played, the societal constraints they faced, and the hidden labor that helped shape these gardens into the vibrant ecosystems they were. As you bask in the moonlight filtering through the leaves, the garden feels alive with whispers of untold stories, particularly those of the women who played a crucial role in its creation and maintenance. In the 14th century, Persian gardens were not just a male domain, they were nurtured by the hands of countless women who toiled, often in the shadows, their contributions woven into the very fabric of these lush spaces. Yet, as you delve into their stories, the startling reality of their lives begins to emerge, revealing a complex interplay of empowerment and constraint. Picture the scene. A woman, perhaps a mother or daughter, kneeling in the soft earth, her fingers gently pulling weeds from around the delicate sprouts. These women were not merely helpers, they were skilled gardeners in their own right, entrusted with the care of the plants that provided sustenance and beauty. They understood the cycles of nature, the best times to plant and harvest, and the subtle needs of each species thriving in the garden. However, the acknowledgement of their expertise often remained overshadowed by societal norms that relegated them to the sidelines, their labor celebrated only in private whispers. While the gardens flourished under the diligent work of these women, they also faced significant limitations imposed by a patriarchal society. Although they contributed greatly to the care and cultivation of the gardens, their efforts often went unrecognized beyond the household. The glamorous illusion presented by society suggested that gardening was a man's profession, a realm for poets and philosophers, while women's contributions remained largely invisible. Here, the shocking reality emerges. The very spaces that inspired beauty and reverence were often the result of labor that was neither credited nor valued. You can imagine the daily life of these women, rising with the sun to tend to the plants, their laughter mingling with the sounds of nature. They would gather herbs for cooking, pluck fruits to feed their families, and weave bouquets to adorn the home. In many cases, these gardens served as spaces of solace and empowerment, a sanctuary where women could connect with the earth and each other, sharing wisdom and nurturing the next generation of gardeners. Their hands, dirt-streaked and strong, laid the groundwork for the beauty that would later captivate the eyes of the wealthy. Yet, the very act of gardening was fraught with challenges. The societal constraints placed upon women often limited their mobility and access to resources. Imagine a woman wishing to attend a gathering of gardeners to share knowledge and techniques, but being confined to her home due to the expectations of her role. Such restrictions stifled the potential for collaboration and innovation that could have flourished in an environment where women's contributions were acknowledged and celebrated. In the garden, however, things were different. The act of cultivating life became a powerful form of resistance against the limitations imposed upon them. You might envision a clandestine gathering of women, whispering secrets of planting and growth, sharing knowledge that had been passed down through generations. In this sacred space of the garden, they could reclaim their power, transforming the act of gardening into a form of self-expression and autonomy. As you wander deeper into the garden, you come across a patch dedicated to medicinal herbs, another area where women's knowledge and skills were invaluable. These herbs, like sage and chamomile, served not just culinary purposes, but healing ones as well. The ability to heal through nature provided women with a sense of agency, as they became caretakers not only of gardens, but also of their families' well-being. Yet, while these contributions were vital, the recognition of their expertise often lay buried beneath layers of societal expectation. The memory of women's labor can be found in the petals of every flower and the roots of every plant. Their influence is imprinted in the very soil they tended, demonstrating that the essence of the garden is intertwined with their spirits. And though their stories may not have been written in the annals of history, the legacy of their work is evident in the flourishing gardens that have become synonymous with Persian culture. As the night deepens, you can feel the weight of their stories, the silent strength of women echoing through the garden. In the next section, we will shift our focus to the seasonal cycles that dictated the rhythms of gardening life. We will examine the labor and celebration that marked each season, revealing the deep connection between the gardeners and the natural world, as well as the challenges that came with each turn of the year. As the seasons turn in the Persian garden, a rich tapestry of life unfolds, each cycle dictating a unique rhythm that gardeners have come to know by heart. The air fills with the bustling energy of new beginnings in spring, the lazy warmth of summer, the vibrant decay of autumn, and the stark stillness of winter. You can almost feel the flow of time within the garden, as it ebbs and flows like the murmuring stream that nourishes its roots. Each season brings with it a set of tasks, triumphs and challenges, painting a vivid picture of life intertwined with nature's rhythms. However, these cycles also reveal the hard truths of agricultural life, where beauty and labor coexist in a delicate balance. Imagine standing at the cusp of spring, where the first buds begin to emerge, breaking through the remnants of winter. The smell of damp earth fills the air, rich with the promise of new life. As the days lengthen and warmth returns, you can picture the gardeners eagerly preparing the soil, their hands digging and turning it, coaxing forth the dormant seeds waiting to burst into bloom. This period, filled with hope and renewal, symbolizes a fresh start, a time when every gardener feels a surge of optimism, anticipating the bountiful harvests to come. Yet, as delightful as the emergence of spring may be, it is also a time fraught with uncertainty. The shocking reality lies in the precariousness of this new growth. A late frost or unexpected drought can devastate the fragile seedlings that have just begun to root themselves. The gardeners, with their intimate knowledge of the land, must be vigilant, watching the skies, praying for favorable weather, and ready to act at a moment's notice. The delicate dance of nurturing life becomes a high-stakes endeavor, where hope battles against the unpredictability of nature. As spring blossoms into summer, the garden transforms into a lush paradise. The colors intensify, and the air is thick with the fragrances of blooming flowers and ripening fruits. You might envision the gardens bustling with activity, as families gather to enjoy the fruits of their labor. The laughter of children mingles with the songs of birds, creating a joyful symphony that resonates through the warm air. It's a time of celebration, where the garden's beauty is on full display, and gatherings are marked by vibrant feasts featuring fresh produce straight from the earth. However, the labor involved in maintaining this beauty is not without its challenges. The relentless sun beats down, and the gardeners toil under its heat, tending to their crops, ensuring that each plant receives the water and care it needs to thrive. The reality of summer gardening is one of sweat and perseverance, where the idyllic imagery of plucking ripe peaches is often accompanied by the gnawing worry that pests or disease might threaten the bounty. The lush fruit hanging from the branches, while visually stunning, belies the constant vigilance required to protect it. As summer wanes and autumn approaches, the garden undergoes another transformation. The vibrant greens begin to fade into warm oranges, deep reds, and golden yellows. This season is a time of harvest, a culmination of the hard work that has been poured into the soil. You can almost taste the sweetness of the grapes and the crispness of the apples that beckon to be gathered. Families come together to celebrate the yield, and the gardens become a focal point for communal gatherings, where stories are shared and traditions are passed down. But with the harvest comes the acknowledgement of the labor that brought this bounty to fruition. The shocking reality is that, while the season is one of joy, it also symbolizes the impending dormancy of winter. The work does not end with the harvest. Instead, it transforms into preparations for the cold months ahead. The gardeners must carefully store seeds, preserve fruits, and prepare the earth for a much-needed rest. The reality of their efforts is a cycle of labor that never truly ceases, a constant ebb and flow of giving and taking from the land. And then, as winter blankets the garden in silence, a stark stillness takes over. The once vibrant colors dull to shades of brown and grey, and the air grows crisp and cold. The gardens, now dormant, tell a different story. Here, in this quiet season, the persistent efforts of the gardeners become even more apparent. You can picture them, bundled in layers of fabric, trudging through the chilly air to tend to the plants that are still clinging to life. This is a time of reflection, where the focus shifts from growth to preservation. Amidst the starkness, winter reveals its own beauty, a beauty defined by resilience and hope. The gardeners, while facing the harsh realities of the cold, know that the rest they provide to the land is necessary for the renewal that will come with spring. The relationship between the gardeners and the garden transcends mere labor. It becomes a profound connection, one that honors the cycles of life and death that govern all living things. As you contemplate the seasonal rhythms of the garden, you gain insight into the lives of those who labor within its confines. Each season, with its unique challenges and rewards, reflects the intertwining of beauty and struggle, an eternal dance that defines the essence of gardening life. In our next section, we will explore how these gardens served not only as spaces of labor and beauty but also as vibrant social hubs, where politics and gossip intertwined amidst the lush greenery and fragrant blooms. As the seasons flow like a river through the Persian garden, it becomes more than just a collection of plants and flowers. It evolves into a vibrant social space where lives intertwine and stories flourish. Picture this: beneath the shade of a sprawling mulberry tree, families gather, laughter ringing through the air, as children chase one another among the blossoms. The garden is alive with chatter, gossip, and the occasional debate about politics, all woven into the fabric of daily life. Here, the boundaries between labor and leisure blur, creating a communal atmosphere that is as rich as the soil itself. In the 14th century, these gardens served as vital social hubs, where the rhythm of life played out against the backdrop of nature's beauty. You can almost hear the murmur of conversations, the exchange of news and ideas, as neighbors come together to share the day's happenings. From tales of harvests to discussions of local politics, the garden is a sanctuary where the community can escape the pressures of daily life and find solace in one another's company. Yet, as you immerse yourself in this idyllic scene, a shocking reality begins to emerge on where appearances can often be deceiving. While the garden may present an image of unity and friendship, it also reflects the complexities of social hierarchies and power dynamics in Persian society. The privileged classes often used these spaces to showcase their wealth and status, hosting lavish gatherings that highlighted their access to the very bounty that the gardeners toiled to produce. You can picture elegant tables adorned with fruits and flowers, while the common laborers, whose hands had nurtured the same earth, remained in the background, their contributions overlooked and unacknowledged. This stark contrast between the wealthy patrons and the laborers creates an intriguing tension within the garden. While the rich enjoyed the beauty of the space, their enjoyment often came at the expense of those who worked tirelessly to maintain it. You might sense the unspoken resentment that simmers beneath the surface, a reminder that the laughter and joy shared in the garden can mask the harsh realities of inequality. The garden becomes a stage where the performance of social class plays out, a place where the lines between privilege and labor are drawn and redrawn with every season. Amidst this social dynamic, the garden also serves as a refuge for those who labor within it. For the gardeners, the garden is not only a workplace but also a source of identity and pride. You can envision them exchanging tips on cultivation, sharing remedies for pests, and passing down wisdom acquired through generations. This camaraderie fosters a sense of belonging, a connection that transcends the constraints of class. In the garden, they are united by a shared purpose, the cultivation of beauty, sustenance, and community. As you wander through the winding paths, you may notice that the garden is as much about the people who inhabit it as it is about the plants themselves. The shadow of political discourse looms large as discussions about local leadership and governance often arise amid the flowers. The garden transforms into an informal gathering place for sharing grievances, debating policies, and building alliances. You can imagine the urgency in the air as neighbors lean in closely to share their thoughts, their voices a blend of hope and frustration. Yet, while the garden might seem to be a place for open dialogue, the harsh reality is that not all voices are heard equally. The elite may dominate the conversations, steering discussions toward their interests, while marginalizing the perspectives of the laborers who depended upon the very resources these gardens provided. This power imbalance creates an atmosphere where the garden becomes a reflection of societal divides, a place where beauty coexists with underlying tensions. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden hue over the garden, you can feel the warmth of community enveloping you. The joy of shared meals prepared with fresh produce, the laughter of children, and the stories exchanged create a palpable sense of connection. Yet, even in this moment of unity, the awareness of inequality lingers in the air. The shared beauty of the garden is both a celebration and a reminder, a testament to the hard work of those who tend it, contrasted against the privilege of those who enjoy it. In our next section, we will delve into the spiritual significance of the garden, exploring how it served as a space of reflection and connection to the divine. We will uncover the mystical beliefs that intertwined with gardening practices, revealing how the garden was not just a physical space, but a sacred one, woven into the spiritual fabric of 14th century Persian life. As twilight descends upon the Persian garden, a sense of quiet reverence fills the air. The beauty of the blooms, illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun, invites contemplation and reflection. Here, in this sacred space, the garden transcends its physical boundaries, becoming a conduit for spiritual connection and a manifestation of humanity's relationship with the divine. In 14th century Persia, gardens were not merely seen as aesthetic delights, they were regarded as sacred realms imbued with profound meaning, a reflection of paradise itself. Imagine standing amid the lush greenery as fragrant blossoms waft gently in the breeze, each petal holding within it the whispers of ancient beliefs. Gardens were designed as microcosms of the universe, reflecting the celestial order that governed life. The intricate layouts, often incorporating geometric patterns, were not just aesthetic choices but symbolic representations of the heavens. Each path, each plant, held significance, inviting the gardener and the observer to contemplate the mysteries of existence. You can picture a group of gardeners pausing in their work, taking a moment to appreciate the harmonious balance of nature surrounding them. the spiritual connection to the land is palpable, as they offer thanks for the sustenance it provides. In this moment, the boundaries between labor and devotion blur, as the act of tending to the earth becomes a ritual of reverence. Yet, as you immerse yourself in this spiritual atmosphere, a shocking reality begins to emerge, harsh truths of life that pervade even the most sacred spaces. Whale gardens were celebrated as paradises on earth. The reality of existence was often marked by struggle and hardship. Famine, disease, and societal strife loomed large, casting shadows even over the most beautifully nurtured plots. The spiritual significance of the garden became particularly poignant during challenging times, as it served as a reminder of hope and resilience. The gardeners you observe, their hands calloused and weary, find solace in the beauty they create, believing that their labor connects them to a greater purpose. The belief in the garden as a sacred space was also intertwined with the spiritual practice of connecting to the divine through nature. You might recall the poetry of Rumi or Hafez, who extolled the virtues of gardens as reflections of the soul's journey towards enlightenment. In these verses, gardens became metaphors for the human experience of growth, decay, renewal, reminding all who entered that life is a series of cycles. The very act of nurturing this earth became a way to cultivate a deeper understanding of oneself and one's place within the cosmos. As the night deepens, the sounds of the garden shift. The gentle rustling of leaves becomes a symphony, inviting contemplation and introspection. In this tranquil setting, the gardens also served as places of meditation, where individuals could escape the noise of the world and seek connection with the divine. Imagine the stillness as a gardener sits quietly among the flowers, allowing the beauty around them to stir thoughts of gratitude and oneness with nature. However, amid this serene ambience, the reality of societal issues still persists. The act of creating beauty becomes intertwined with the struggles faced by the community. The gardeners, devout in their labor, often sought to escape the burdens of life through their connection to the land, yet the inequalities and hardships of their existence remained ever present. The sacred beauty of the garden could not fully mask the harsh realities of the world outside its walls. Additionally, the spiritual significance of gardens often extended to their role in rituals and celebrations. You can envision vibrant festivals where flowers adorned altars, symbolizing life's renewal and the cyclical nature of existence. These gatherings were steeped in tradition, celebrating the interconnectedness of community, nature, and spirituality. Yet, while the festivities brought joy, they also highlighted the disparities between those who participated freely and those whose labor made such celebrations possible. The spiritual resonance of the garden ultimately serves as a reminder of the intricate relationship between labor, beauty, and existence. In this sacred space, the gardeners cultivate not just plants but also a deeper understanding of life itself. The beauty they nurture becomes a testament to resilience, a reminder that even amid struggle, there exists the potential for growth and transformation. As you reflect on these spiritual dimensions of the garden, you begin to appreciate its role as both a physical space and a realm of connection. In our next section, we will explore how Persian gardens were depicted in literature and art, uncovering the ways in which their beauty was immortalized and how these representations often diverged from the reality of the gardeners' lives. As you meander through the enchanting pathways of the Persian garden, it becomes increasingly clear that these lush havens were more than mere landscapes. They were sources of inspiration that permeated literature and art, shaping cultural narratives and ideals. The gardens, with their intricate designs and vibrant flora, captured the imaginations of poets, painters, and philosophers, becoming a canvas upon which the beauty of nature intertwined with the complexities of human experience. Yet, as you delve into these artistic representations, a stark contrast emerges between the idyllic portrayals and the harsh realities faced by the gardeners who toiled in obscurity. Imagine standing amid a garden as it appears in the verses of a great poet, perhaps Rumi or Sa'di, where each word paints a picture of paradisy place filled with fragrant blossoms, sweet fruits, and the soft trickle of water. These literary works extolled gardens as symbols of love, beauty, and divine connection, inviting the reader to escape into a world where nature and spirituality converge. The imagery is rich and evocative, evoking feelings of peace and tranquility. However, as you lose yourself in the lyrical descriptions, it is essential to remember that these poetic depictions often gloss over the hard truths of labor and struggle that underpin the creation of such beauty. The shocking reality is that, while the gardens inspired verses that celebrated abundance and divine beauty, the lives of the gardeners remained largely unrecognized. The very hands that nurtured the flowers and tended to the trees were often invisible in the grand narratives crafted by the elite. You can picture the contrast. While poets celebrated the lush blooms in their writings, the laborers who made this beauty possible often faced grueling conditions, their contributions minimized or entirely overlooked. The artistry of the garden became a backdrop for the affluent, while the voices of the laborers were silenced. As you delve deeper into the artistic representations of Persian gardens, you might envision the vibrant tapestries and intricate miniatures created by skilled artisans of the time. These works often depicted fantastical gardens overflowing with blossoms and fruits, capturing an idealized vision that spoke to the cultural values of beauty and abundance. These artistic expressions serve to reinforce the notion of gardens as spaces of paradise, yet, similar to the poetry, they often overlook the socio-economic realities that shaped the lives of those who tended them. The very act of creating art in these gardens, while a noble endeavor, was often reserved for the elite privilege not afforded to the gardeners themselves. Imagine the artisans sitting in the shade of a grand cypress tree, capturing the beauty of the landscape with their brushes. Their works, rich with color and detail, aim to immortalize the garden as a symbol of prosperity and bounty. Yet, the irony remains, the artistry that celebrated these spaces was frequently disconnected from the daily struggles of the laborers who made that beauty possible. Moreover, the gardens also appeared in the realm of philosophy, where they symbolized the ideal balance between nature and humanity. You can picture scholars discussing the nature of beauty and existence while seated among the flowers, their conversations rich with metaphysical musings. Yet again, the reality of the gardener's lives often stood in stark contrast to the lofty ideals being discussed. The intellectual pursuits surrounding gardens celebrated their beauty, while neglecting to address the labor that sustained them. As you wander through the artistry and literature that immortalized these gardens, you begin to grasp the duality of their representation. The gardens were revered spaces of beauty, yet they were also arenas where class struggles and labor disparities played out. The romanticized images you encounter do not fully encapsulate the realities faced by the gardeners, whose sweat and toil transformed barren land into vibrant havens. In contemplating the legacy of these artistic representations, you may feel a sense of urgency to honor the voices and stories of the laborers. The beauty of the gardens, immortalized in literature and art, is at its core a testament to their resilience and dedication. The gardens serve as a reminder that behind every petal and bloom lies a narrative of struggle, creativity, and the quest for connection. As you absorb the rich layers of meaning woven into the garden's portrayal, we will next explore the economic aspects that underpin the gardens, delving into the trade networks and economic systems that influenced gardening practices and the lives of those who worked within them. This exploration will further illuminate the connections between beauty, labor, and the larger socio-economic landscape of 14th century Persia. As the sun rises once more, casting its golden light over the Persian garden, it becomes evident that these stunning landscapes are not only places of beauty and spiritual reflection but also vital components of a complex economic system. The gardens, with their vibrant flora and bountiful harvests, served as essential contributors to trade and commerce, influencing not just local economies, but also extending their reach across vast trade networks. While the gardens may appear idyllic, the realities of economic pressures and the labor that sustains them reveal a different story, one marked by both promise and struggle. Imagine the bustling activity within the garden as harvest time approaches. The air is thick with the sweet scent of ripe fruits, and the colors of summer's bounty are a feast for the eyes. You can picture gardeners, hands stained with earth, carefully picking pomegranates, figs, and melons, meticulously gathering the fruits of their labor. This harvest is not just a celebration of nature's abundance, it is also a matter of economic survival, a lifeline for the families who rely on the gardens for sustenance and income. The shocking reality, as you observe the busy harvest, is that this abundance does not come without its challenges. The gardeners, while tending to their plots, must also navigate the intricate dynamics of the market. The fruits and vegetables they cultivate will eventually find their way to local bazaars, where they are exchanged for coins, food, and other necessities. Yet, the value of their labor often remains obscured, overshadowed by the wealth of their patrons. The same fruits that fetch high prices in the market may not translate to fair compensation for the laborers who nurtured them from seed to harvest. Picture a bustling bazaar filled with vibrant colors and tantalizing aromas, where merchants proudly display their goods, calling out to potential buyers. The gardens serve as a crucial link in this chain of commerce, providing the very produce that feeds the city and sustains its economy. Yet, while the affluent merchants reap the rewards of their sales, the laborers who performed the arduous work in the gardens often receive minimal recognition or compensation. The fruits of their labor, both literal and metaphorical, remain out of reach, highlighting the disparities that exist within this economic landscape. The gardens also served as a canvas for showcasing the wealth and status of the elite. You might envision grand estates adorned with flourishing gardens, where the wealthy would flaunt their access to exotic fruits and fragrant blooms, using them as symbols of power and prestige. The gardens became a means of displaying not only agricultural success, but also social standing, a potent reminder of the interconnectedness of beauty, wealth, and labor. The irony lies in the fact that those who enjoyed the fruits of this labor often remained blind to the struggles faced by the gardeners themselves. As the seasons shift, so too do the economic demands placed upon the gardens. The gardeners must adapt to changing market conditions and consumer preferences, navigating the delicate balance between cultivating traditional crops and experimenting with new varieties that may yield higher profits. You might imagine them discussing the latest trends in the bazaar, debating which fruits will fetch the best prices, all while grappling with the unpredictability of nature. The pressure to produce is relentless, as the success of the garden is often tied to the family's survival. Moreover, the gardens were integral to trade routes that crisscrossed Persia, connecting local producers to distant markets. The Persian Empire was known for its extensive networks of trade, where goods flowed in and out, enriching the culture and economy. The products of these gardens gained fame beyond their local regions as merchants transported them to far-flung destinations, weaving the garden's legacy into the fabric of global commerce. However, this expansion also meant that the laborers remained at the mercy of forces beyond their control, their livelihoods dictated by market demands and trade fluctuations. As you stand in the garden, absorbing the vibrant colors and scents surrounding you, the realization of its economic importance deepens your appreciation for the work that goes into maintaining such spaces. The gardens are not mere landscapes of beauty. They are essential components of a larger economic system that shapes the lives of those who labor within them. The interplay between the gardens and the marketplace highlights the intricate connections between nature, beauty, and survival, reminding you that behind every bloom lies a story of resilience and struggle. In our next section, we will confront the often overlooked challenges that gardeners faced in their daily lives, particularly concerning the pests and diseases that threatened their hard work. We will explore the hidden struggles that come with cultivating beauty, revealing the realities that lay beneath the surface of the lush gardens. As you wander through the vibrant pathways of the Persian garden, awash in color and fragrance, it can be easy to forget that beauty seldom comes without its challenges. While the garden may appear to flourish effortlessly, it is, in fact, a complex ecosystem that faces constant threats, particularly from pests and diseases that can decimate the fruits of labor in an instant. The gardeners you observe, with their tender care and dedication, are locked in a perpetual battle against the unseen adversaries that lurk among the leaves and blossoms. As you delve into this hidden struggle, the shocking realities of life in the garden come to light. Imagine a gardener rising at dawn, their breath visible in the crisp morning air, scanning the rows of plants for any signs of trouble. Their keen eyes are trained to spot the telltale signs of distress, discolored leaves, wilting stems, or the telltale presence of unwanted visitors. Aphids, caterpillars, and various other pests can wreak havoc, threatening the very livelihood that the gardeners have labored to cultivate. Each day presents a new challenge, a reminder that even in paradise, danger lurks just beneath the surface. The romanticized image of the garden often overlooks the gritty reality that accompanies cultivation. As the vibrant flowers bloom, the gardeners must remain vigilant, employing their knowledge of natural remedies and traditional practices to fend off infestations. You might picture them concocting solutions from herbs and oils, using their understanding of nature to create barriers against pests. The irony lies in the fact that while they labor to foster beauty, they are also engaged in a constant fight for survival, a reminder that the path to abundance is fraught with obstacles. Moreover, the struggle against pests is compounded by the threat of disease. Fungal infections, blights, and rot can swiftly undermine the hard work of the gardeners, rendering their efforts futile. Picture the moment when a gardener discovers that a beloved fruit tree is suffering from blight, its leaves curling and turning brown. The heartache is palpable, as they grapple with the reality of loss, knowing that their toil may not yield the rewards they had hoped for. The emotional weight of these challenges adds another layer to the complexity of gardening life, where hope and despair coexist side by side. In the face of these difficulties, the resilience of the gardeners becomes even more apparent. You can imagine the whispered conversations among them as they share tips and tricks for managing pests, knowledge passed down through generations that reflects their deep connection to the land. They learn to recognize the signs of trouble early, to adapt their practices, and to seek balance within the ecosystem. This intimate relationship with the garden, while fraught with challenges, fosters a profound understanding of nature's cycles and the interconnectedness of life. As you continue to explore the garden, the scent of rich earth and blooming flowers encapsulates the duality of existence. the beauty that captivates your senses is intertwined with struggle, a poignant reminder that every bloom carries the weight of the battle fought to protect it. The gardener's labor is not solely about cultivating aesthetics, it is also an act of devotion, a commitment to nurturing life amid adversity. Moreover, the persistent threat of pests and diseases reflects the broader realities of life in 14th century Persia. You can envision how these challenges extend beyond the garden, influencing the social and economic dynamics of the community. Gardens that fail to produce due to infestation can lead to food shortages, impacting not only individual families, but entire neighborhoods. The health of the garden becomes a reflection of the community's well-being, where the interconnected nature of life is on full display. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow over the garden, a sense of peace envelops you. In this moment, you understand that the beauty surrounding you is a result of determination and resilience. The gardeners, despite their struggles, continue to pour their hearts into the earth, fighting against the odds to create a sanctuary of life and beauty. In our next section, we will reflect on the legacy of the Persian garden, exploring how these enchanting spaces have influenced modern culture and the ways in which their stories continue to resonate through time. We will uncover the enduring impact of these gardens, revealing how their struggles and triumphs have shaped perceptions of beauty and labor in the centuries that followed. As you stand amidst the vibrant hues and fragrant scents of the Persian garden, it becomes increasingly clear that these enchanting spaces have left an indelible mark on history and culture. The legacy of the Persian garden extends far beyond its physical boundaries. It has influenced art, literature, and even modern gardening practices, permeating the fabric of society with its ideals of beauty, harmony, and resilience. The stories of the gardeners who tended these lush landscapes echo through time, reminding us of the struggles and triumphs that shaped their existence. Picture yourself in a contemporary garden, perhaps one inspired by the principles of Persian design. You might notice the geometric layouts, the careful placement of plants, and the soothing presence of water features, all hallmarks of the original Persian gardens. These designs, rooted in centuries of tradition, continue to inspire landscape architects and gardeners around the world. The aesthetic of the Persian garden, a harmonious blend of nature and artistry, serves as a model for creating tranquil spaces that encourage reflection and connection with the earth. Yet, as we celebrate the beauty and influence of these gardens, it is essential to remember the hidden stories that accompany them. The artisans, poets, and philosophers who have immortalized the gardens in their works often fail to include the voices of the gardeners themselves. While lush imagery graces the pages of poetry and art, the laborers who nurtured those blooms are frequently overlooked in the narratives crafted by history. The shocking reality is that the same gardens which inspire admiration and reverence today were born out of struggle, resilience, and dedication from those who worked tirelessly within their confines. In literature, the Persian garden has been depicted as a symbol of paradisy, reflection of the human yearning for beauty and transcendence. Poets like Rumi and Hafiz celebrated the gardens as metaphors for spiritual growth, inviting readers to seek beauty in both nature and the self. These verses continue to resonate, offering timeless wisdom that encourages a harmonious relationship with the world around us. However, as you reflect on these literary works, consider how the gardeners' realities, their labor, their struggles, and their untold stories remain obscured by the lyrical ideals that have come to define the garden in the public consciousness. Artistic representations of the Persian garden, from intricate miniatures to opulent tapestries, have also played a significant role in shaping perceptions of beauty. These depictions often showcase the lush abundance and tranquility of the garden, creating an idyllic vision that captivates the imagination. Yet, within these beautifully crafted images lies the reminder that the vibrancy and richness of the garden were made possible by the hands of those who toiled in the soil, often without recognition or reward. The legacy of the garden thus serves as both a celebration of beauty and a call to honor the labor that sustains it. Moreover, the influence of the Persian garden has extended far beyond its geographical origins, impacting gardening practices and cultural concepts worldwide. The principles of symmetry, balance, and the integration of water features have inspired garden designs across cultures, from the formal gardens of Europe to the serene landscapes of East Asia. This cross-cultural exchange signifies the universal appeal of the garden as a space for beauty, reflection, and community, a legacy built upon centuries of labor and love. As you reflect on the enduring impact of the Persian garden, consider how modern society often grapples with similar themes: the tension between beauty and labor, the quest for harmony within nature, and the yearning for connection. The stories of the gardeners, those who nurtured the earth and cultivated beauty amidst struggle, continue to resonate, reminding us of the intricate relationships that exist between people, nature, and the landscapes we create. In our final section, we will gently wind down and reflect on the journey we've taken through the world of 14th century Persian gardeners, exploring how their struggles and triumphs offer lessons for contemporary life. We will honor their legacies and the beauty they created, fostering a deeper appreciation for the gardens that continue to inspire us today. As the moon rises high above the Persian garden, casting a silvery glow over the blooms and pathways, you take a moment to reflect on the journey you've undertaken through this enchanting world. The threads of history, labor, and beauty intertwine in a rich tapestry that speaks not only to the past but also to the present and future. The stories of the 14th century Persian gardeners, who toiled in the shadows of their lush creations, resonate deeply, reminding us of the intricate relationships that exist between nature, labor, and the expression of beauty. Throughout this exploration, you have witnessed how these gardens served as microcosms of societal places where the struggles of daily life were played out against the backdrop of floral splendor. The gardeners, with their hands deep in the earth, faced countless challenges, from pests and diseases to the harsh realities of economic survival. Yet, within these struggles lies a profound resilience, a testament to the human spirit's ability to nurture life and create beauty in even the most trying circumstances. You may now appreciate how the gardens were not merely physical spaces, but also sacred realms that fostered spiritual connection, a reflection of paradise that transcended the material. The intricate designs, the careful selection of plants, and the soothing presence of water all symbolized the harmony that gardeners sought to achieve within themselves and their surroundings. In their labor, they cultivated not just herbs and flowers, but also a deeper understanding of life's cyclical nature, echoing the timeless wisdom found in the poetry and art inspired by these spaces. As you consider the impact of the Persian garden on literature and art, you recognize the duality of its representation. While these creative works celebrate the beauty of the garden, they often fail to honor the voices of those who nurtured it, the laborers whose relentless dedication transformed barren land into vibrant oases. The glamorous illusions presented in poetry and art serve as a reminder that beauty is often born out of struggle, urging us to recognize and honor the unseen efforts of those who contribute to our experiences of beauty. The legacy of the Persian garden extends far beyond its borders, influencing gardening practices and cultural ideals worldwide. Its principles of design, balance, and harmony continue to inspire contemporary gardens, inviting people to create spaces that offer solace, reflection, and connection to nature. In this way, the gardens serve as a bridge between the past and present, reminding us that the pursuit of beauty and connection is a timeless endeavor. As you prepare to leave this verdant sanctuary, take a moment to internalize the lessons learned from the gardeners of the past. Their stories call us to embrace the interconnectedness of all life, to appreciate the beauty surrounding us, and to recognize the labor that sustains it. In a world that often moves too quickly, the legacy of these gardeners invites us to slow down, to cultivate our relationships with nature and each other, and to find joy in the simple act of nurturing life. So, as you dim the lights of your own world and drift into slumber, carry with you the essence of the Persian garden, a reminder that beauty is not just to be admired, but also to be cultivated with care and respect. In every blossom, every fragrance, and every whisper of the wind, the spirit of this gardener lives on, inviting you to dream of lush landscapes, vibrant colors, and the eternal dance of nature and humanity.